what they should have done, I think, and this is obviously hindsight is 2020, but what this episode proved to me is that the Makos are unnecessary in this show. What should have been there from the start is one Vulcan ship and one Andorian ship go with the Enterprise to try to do whatever's going on out here, right? Because I think the reason that this episode succeeds is that it finally introduces some sort of relevance to Star Trek as a franchise into this Xindi arc, right? Like, so the prequel nature of these guys, the Andorians, the Vulcans, and the humans somewhat getting along but not really getting along is fertile ground for the conflict that can happen along the way to finding the Xindi. You know, like there's a Shran at odds with the Vulcans and Archer being in the middle and trying to mediate these points of view. There's a lot of, as this episode develops, like the Vulcans are kind of, or the Andorians want to get this weapon so that they can tell the Vulcans to stay away from them, basically. Like there's a race for this to defend themselves. So, selfish decision-making being made, not at the greater good, but for the one species over another type thing. The Makos were kind of introduced as that they would be this like stick in the mud or burr in the fur or whatever of the characters, that they would interfere with the smooth operations of everything that's going on. They haven't done that. The Makos are clearly just a wallpaper type change that the show wanted to make. But
Kirk, have you ever run out of pre-made tea in the cafeteria while everyone else fights the Xindi?
Shran, the Vulcans, and the humans have a natural antagonism towards each other that can carry episodes.
Yeah.
And they should have done it from the start. So that would have been the change that I would suggest.
Yeah, that would be interesting. I think it's I think having 3 ships worth might get too cluttered, given that they are doing so much like episodic stuff still. You kind of, that gets tougher to do if you've got to deal with 3 ships at the same time.
It does, yeah.
But I totally understand what you're saying. The problem with this arc, as we've said multiple times, is it seems like this Xindi arc should be about really putting to the test the Starfleet ideals and stuff in this, when they're in this situation that is very much a military situation. And that's what the Makos are there for, is to be that pressure, the more military pressure. And they just never do anything with it. And it's just same old, except Archer's mad all the time. Speaking of that, this is the first episode where I thought his change in attitude worked.
Yeah, I'd agree. I think there's maybe one or two scenes where I thought he was overly angry, but the rest of it I thought he was appropriately curt with people, I guess. He wasn't raging, but he was like, we got stuff to do. We got to get it done.
Yeah, they needed a foil, because so much of this story is them, well, I guess this is the key with all Star Trek, but so much of the story is them flying through the expanse that they need some sort of ethical foil, or foil of any sort, to really get some good drama out of these stories. And the Makos could have done that, but they didn't. And the Andorians, when they show up, I think do. And they do one of those things where it's like the whole season has been the Enterprise just slugging it out through the expanse and barely holding it together, and then the Andorians are like, we have a better ship, it's no problem for us.
Yeah,
we got here, we're much faster, we got here in 25 minutes. You've been doing this for 6 months. but it's a nice it feels more Deep Space Nine-y, because you've got these multiple races that are involved with each other, and the humans and the Andorians are kind of allies, but not totally allies. And you've got T'Pol in there, which is interesting because the Andorians hate the Vulcans.
Yep.
You've got interesting things going. There's a lot of plates spinning at once, and it makes for a very interesting story, because in a way that it focuses the drama of the story in a way that these Xindi episodes haven't been focused.
Yeah.
Because they were previously so kind of amorphous as to what they were doing, other than we got to get them.
Yeah.
We got to stop them. We got to find this thing. That that only gets you so far, but if you keep doing that, it gets old. But it's got your weapon MacGuffin in the middle. You've got 3 people or 3 groups who are all kind of vying for control of this thing. 4 if you want to count the rest of the Xindi and the quote unquote humanoid ones, and their approach to how this thing is going to work. For the record, by the way, looked like it worked pretty good. I mean, it didn't explode that moon, but I don't think the human race is surviving whatever that thing does to Earth.
No, you're not going to plant a flag on that moon after what they did to it.